Hey there, Cancer. Welcome to your reading for the middle of April 2026. You have this experiment card. It says, when you find yourself feeling indecisive about which direction to go, don't be afraid to experiment with multiple options to figure out what works for you. You have this researcher card. It says, before you make your next move, it's important to do some exploratory research so you know all the possible paths you can take. So yes, Cancer, I'm not sure if it's you in Capricorn or if it's just Capricorn. It's like literally, I think one of your last readings, I basically said that, or something similar, where it's almost like you have to explore a different path or two different paths and, really get your research. Now, one thing I will say is the whole research thing is kind of obvious to me because we have Pluto and Aquarius. And it's like maybe this isn't, a major part of Pluto and Aquarius, but I do think it's a little part, which is getting the evidence, on whatever choices you're trying to make and like really making sure that if you are trying to pick between two things right now, you even have the Lovers, which, the Lovers doesn't have to be love. The Lovers traditionally was a choice, and it was traditionally a choice in love, but I think in a general reading, it can be any choice. And you have this Two of Pentacles right here. So, your readings all month have been about a big decision that you're trying to make. And, I would pick the decision that makes your life easier is kind of like what this is saying with the Ten of Wands. But we'll dig into this reading and we'll see. In your first row for your current general energies, you have the Seven of Swords, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Ace of Pentacles. So Seven of Swords is, of course, about doing something differently. He's going to war by stealing the swords from this army in the background. And so he's going to war, but just in a different way. And he's being tactical. So it would be a good time for like tactical thinking, I feel, for you, Cancer, and like exploring two different directions in your life. Also, he has these polka dots on his cloak. Polka dots in the tarot can represent taking things too seriously and needing to be more playful. So, it could be a good time for you to play with two different ideas, especially if you have two ideas on anything right now or two potential directions that you could move in. It's like, I think you need to like play with both and see what works. You have the Nine of Pentacles. Now, the thing about the Nine of Pentacles is that she represents heaven on earth. And I always say it doesn't mean that you have heaven on earth. It means that you should be creating heaven on earth as much as you possibly can. Now, life will never be perfect. Sorry if no one's ever told you that, but, I'm just here to rain on everybody's parade anyway, Cancer. So there you go. But what I would say is you have to get as close as possible, even if it's only a little bit. And she just focuses on her own needs, right? It's a card of independence. That does not mean she doesn't have people in her life. It just means that she's putting herself first, right? And I don't know, that's definitely popping into my head for you, Cancer, where, there could be like societal things, or it's like society is putting pressures on you. There could be one decision that would like fit in with society is popping into my head, or, could fit in with like your family or something like that. And I feel like sometimes I think people say they don't know what to do, but they really do. You're just putting other people's BS like in front of what you want, right? And that's what I would really think about with the Nine of Pentacles. Of course, I feel really good about money for water signs. Again, I have to be very careful of what I say, because anytime I say money's going to be easy, people say, I had to lift a finger last week to make money. It's like, oh my God, yes, you're going to have to lift a finger. You're going to have to do the work. You're going to probably have to do more than you've been doing, because that's how life works. But anyway, money is very good for water signs. Yes, you're going to have to work for it. You're probably going to have to do something new. She has these grapes behind her, and the grapes behind her represent a skill that she has. Grapes are, considered difficult to grow in the tarot. And so she has a skill that most people cannot do, but she can do it well. So you have to work on those skills that you have that are special or different or unique to create this abundance, but definitely could be an abundant time. You have the Ace of Pentacles, which could be like a big opportunity coming in for you. And again, the Ace of Pentacles is something that you have to nurture into existence. We also go up to the Queen of Pentacles, and she has that big pentacle that she's holding on to here. But I also think it's funny that we have two pentacles on the Two of Pentacles. So, it's like there could be, it seems to me like for the past few weeks or 2 weeks or so, that you are trying to decide on something big in your life, like a big change, big decision, a new path, we have this path card right here. I'll show you in a second. And, again, I think it's almost like you have to really think about what is going to lead to the outcome you truly desire, not the one that people are telling you will lead to what you want. I think that is a recipe for trouble, is listening to other people, right? So let's see what is going on here for you, Cancer. With the Seven of Swords, you have the Page of Swords. So this would be about research. Again, you have that research card. Page of Swords, he is like a detective. He goes and plays with ideas. He researches them. He gets to the bottom of them, and he collects evidence. That's like a good thing to do with this card. So I feel collecting evidence on both sides, if there are two, maybe there's 3 or 4, I don't know. But whatever it is, I would be, kind of really looking into those things. I really feel it's a blessing that you have Jupiter in your sign. He's very childlike. Jupiter in Cancer expands the childlike energy, being able to ask questions. Children ask a lot of questions. They embrace new opportunity, things like that. And he is the child in the tarot. So, I would definitely be taking advantage of that. We also have the Sun right here. This is your inner child. So, you are the sign of the inner child as far as I'm concerned, Cancer. And I feel that, really thinking about what your inner child wants would be important as well. Here you go. With the Nine of Pentacles, you have the Ace of Pentacles. If you are getting an opportunity this week, or not this week, this, next 2 weeks, the middle of the month, I would say, and maybe even a little bit longer, I would extend this out into the month of May. And I would say that if you're getting any opportunities, I would explore them, especially if they kind of relate to your skills that you already have or something that you've been learning with the Nine of Pentacles, because I think you're going to have plenty of time to grow something. And that's what I would do with the Ace of Pentacles. With the Ace of Pentacles, you have the Two of Pentacles. Can't make it up here, Cancer. And how funny is it that you have 2 Ace of Pentacles? And earlier I was like literally saying, he's got like 2 Ace of Pentacles there. So it's almost like you have 2 good opportunities. Maybe both would be good, but maybe only one is aligned with your idea of heaven on earth. And it could be like easier or something. The reason I'm saying that is the Ten of Wands. Like, I'm wondering if one choice that you're trying to make right now would be a lot of work, or, would be a lot of effort or something. And maybe, again, they're both good opportunities, so maybe not bad, which makes it harder to make the decision because they're both good. And, it's like work isn't necessarily bad either. Although, here you go. In the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Simplicity card. You also have this Going Forward card. So I would keep it simple. And maybe the simple answer is the answer with that Simplicity card. The Simplicity card wants us to keep things simple, wants us to do what is simple. The Going Forward card is like this path with the sun at the back of it, and you have the sun in this row. So I feel you really need to move towards your like inner child happiness, or something that will make your inner child happy, and that's what I would focus on with that card. You have the Five of Swords, the Sun, and the Six of Swords. Five of Swords to me, can be separation, walking away from something, winning at all cost. But I always say the Five of Swords can also be a risk, where we have to take a risk to get something that we desire. And so, if one path is more of a risk, like that might be a clue for you here, Cancer. And I would do it. The Five of Swords can also, like I said, it can be winning at all costs. So, there could be a win coming in, although we don't really see any other cards of winning yet. But that might change in a minute. You have the Sun. The Sun makes the whole entire reading more positive, so definitely could be a lot of happiness and joy coming in for you at this time. Could be saying the sun is shining on you, so could be getting a lot of attention or standing out. The Sun, again, is also simplicity in some ways. Really the Sun is ease. This child is carrying this banner here, and this banner is meant to look very heavy, but he's carrying it very easily. Nine of Pentacles as well. Again, she has a skill that is hard for most people, but she can do it well in her life. The Sun wants us to do the things that we can do well that other people can't. Because, again, it's like we all have skills that are probably hard for most people, but we can do it easily, right? That's where we can have the biggest impact in life. And so I feel the Sun is kind of encouraging you to think about that and to focus on making a bigger impact. Again, the Sun, we need to get more attention. Obviously, if you're making a bigger impact, you're going to get more attention, and I would really think about that with the Sun card. You have the Six of Swords. Six of Swords moving on to calmer shores. So a lot of you could be moving on to calmer shores, heading towards improvements here. During the second half of this month. Again, I do think this second half of the month is a major improvement. So, it doesn't really surprise me. I think we're going to see plenty of craziness in the world. Actually, it's probably going to get worse. Sorry. Just is what it is. But I think on a personal level, again, we should all be focusing on the Nine of Pentacles anyway, bringing heaven on earth. With the Five of Swords, you have the Knight of Pentacles here. It's like Knight of Pentacles, slow, steady progress. Knight of Pentacles can say you have everything you need to start planting seeds in this field behind you to get them to grow. So I do feel it's like time to make your move on a decision or a choice that you've been trying to make. And it's time to start planting those seeds and moving forward and kind of like see what grows out of it. Could also be a connection. Like some of you could be taking a risk on a person here with the Lovers. And, I kind of feel this is very specific here, Cancer, because we have the Ten of Wands. It's like maybe you are too used to carrying the weight in a connection. And so that could be like a little bit of a fear, right? That if you do make a move towards a person, you're just going to waste a bunch of time, is kind of what's popping into my head. But this is coming up in the good stuff. So that would kind of say no. So if you're interested in a person, I would go for it. Yes, with the Sun, you have the Hermit. It's time to expose something. Again, you have the Nine of Pentacles. We were talking about the skills. You have the Sun. And then the Hermit, he's been through a dark night of the soul. He's put in all this work. And now he has to come down from the mountain and shine his light into the world. And so, I do feel it's time to either expose a skill to the world that you have or to open up about something with the Hermit is really what I feel. So for some of you, again, it could be love. And so this could mean that you have to make a move in love. You have to flirt. You have to talk, open your mouth, something here, Cancer. That could be helpful. With the Six of Swords, you have the World. The World is an accomplishment or achievement. There's the win. Sorry, I didn't change cameras, but there you go. There's the World. So, again, this could be the win we were, looking for with that Five of Swords. The World is kind of like standing on top of the world. It can also represent the end of a cycle and can also represent completion. In the major arcana, we go from the Fool to the World, and then we start all over again as the Fool. So a lot of you are clearly completing one cycle or stage in your life and moving on to the next one. Again, this week, I actually don't have my watch. I don't even know what today is. Today is the 10th, I think. So I don't know. I can't really see that far. But anyway, so it's like the 10th, right? I think the week of the 13th is a good week for water signs. It's like the final week where everything's going to be moving out of Pisces. And even though you're not a Pisces, you are a water sign. And so I think that water signs have been getting hit hard because, we had Saturn and Neptune there. We've had, every other planet basically moving through there. It's been a lot of energy for water signs. So you could really be feeling like you're completing a long cycle, especially Neptune being there for 14 years. It's going to be a long time before anything significant moves back into Pisces. I mean, we have to wait until 2043 or somewhere around there before Pluto enters in, right? So, again, it's going to be a long time and I think water signs are kind of getting a little bit of a break here. And, they're ending things, cycles, challenges, stuff like that. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, I almost just said your first house for some reason. This card says 6th house on it, and it says sustainability. You have the solar flares. It says activate. Yeah, I think you should be focusing on things that are sustainable in the first place. That's pretty much what Pluto and Capricorn taught you. Pluto's in Aquarius now, but, over the past many years, it was in Capricorn from 2024 back. And so I think the thing with Pluto and Capricorn is to learn maintenance, to be able to build something and maintain it for a long time. Uranus and Taurus. We've had Uranus and Taurus for a long time. Uranus and Taurus wants us to build a solid foundation and build something that has legs, something that has longevity to it, right? So these are all lessons that you've been learning for a long time, especially with Capricorn being your opposite sign. I think it's time to activate your skills, like I said, with the Sun and the Nine of Pentacles as well. You have the Queen of Pentacles, the Lovers, and the Eight of Pentacles. Again, Queen of Pentacles is resourcefulness. I almost feel like she's saying that you shouldn't be being resourceful. Now, don't take this the wrong way, Cancer. I feel like she's saying it's time to get out of that survival mode. You should be thriving. And I'm not saying I'm not saying this is going to be easy or whatever. But I feel like she is almost, she kind of has to be resourceful is the point. She maybe has to scrape by. Maybe she has to, look for deals and discounts and, all that other stuff. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that still. Again, I think we're in a terrible time for wasting money. I've been saying this for years, that we shouldn't be wasting money. We shouldn't be buying things we don't need. We should be looking for discounts and things like that. I'm more talking about getting to the place in life where you don't have to check your bank account, right, every single time you make a purchase or something like that. So, I feel, and again, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I think it's an amazing time for you to build something or create something or get a new job or whatever that can allow you to live your life that way. It's almost like this is, you really looking for that type of freedom. And, again, I think she's encouraging you to build that level of freedom in your life. You have the Lovers. Definitely could be love coming in for you. I mean, it's obvious to me. I think love is, it's a really good time for water signs to find a solid connection if you're looking for one. Also, could just be the choice that we've been talking about for a couple weeks now. It's clear to me that you're at, like, I wouldn't really call this a turning point. I think it's a decision point that you're at. You are clearly at a crossroads or something, Cancer, where you could go this way or this way. And the Lovers wants us, sometimes I feel Lovers wants us to pick a new path or, pick the experience that we haven't had yet. Sometimes in this situation, I think that, looking at both sides and being playful with both sides and seeing what could happen and, following the evidence would be a good option for you with the Lovers as well. You have the Eight of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles, like straightforward, diligent work. He's just putting in the work into these 8 pentacles in front of him. And, it's a card of material success on the horizon. So I do feel if you put the work in that there will be more money coming in for you in the near future. So I would keep putting the work into whatever you're working on. I also feel you need to see how far you've come. I always say, sometimes I feel like he needs to stand up. And I think he needs to realize like how much work he has done in his life right in front of him. And because putting it into perspective, you might see that you're like much closer to one thing than the other. And that's what I would do here, Cancer. Cancer, make sure to leave a comment. Really helps me out. You have the King of Wands. King of Wands wants you to be bold, assertive, confident. You've been getting this a lot with me over the past couple years about needing to be more, like a little bit more bold and assertive and confident. So I think that would be great for you, like really, really going for the things that you desire to create in your life, and that would be good. With the Lovers, you have the Seven of Cups. Yeah, it's like, you always get the Seven of Cups with me. I'm always saying to you, don't cheat yourself out of something that could be good for you. He's dreaming too much, almost. I like the Seven of Cups. I don't necessarily think it's a bad card. But sometimes I feel that he's, instead of like just doing something, he's thinking about it, which is exactly the problem. He's looking at something, he's like, well, this could be good, it could be bad, I don't know, but really he needs to find out. That's the thing he has to do. He has to go through the process, and he has to look at something as an experience and not put too much pressure on it, which we kind of said with the Seven of Swords. Again, Seven of Swords, the guy on that card has these polka dots on his cloak. He's taking something too seriously. He needs to be more playful with it, which the whole entire reading is saying. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have the Five of Pentacles. Yes, like I said, getting out of the poverty consciousness thing. I think this is probably going to be a theme for you for a while, Cancer. I feel it's good because, again, I feel like you are getting to that place where, like I said, you don't have to check your bank account. Maybe you're getting to the place where you can finally like go on vacation every single year, where maybe in the past you couldn't. But, that's like the type of freedom that I would be trying to work on or trying to develop. Now, you're going to have to do something new, like, ask for a raise or promotion, or go get a new job, or build that side hustle, or build a business, or something. But I feel you have an amazing opportunity to do it. So it's something I would think about. I think that Uranus and Taurus has probably taught you a lot about kind of like how to create financial stability in some ways. And again, I think that you probably are going to continue working on that. Next in the area, oh my god, you cannot make this up. In the area of the good stuff, you have this card that says, choose a path on it. It says, there are many paths before you, but you may only choose one. There you go. You have this family and heritage. It says it's time to get back in touch with your loved ones you have been away from. So yes, if you have people in your life that you haven't communicated with, I would get in touch. But again, I think this is the month Could be like between now and the end of May is what I feel that you could finally be making a decision. But again, I wouldn't just sit around and think, over the next month. I would be playing with both ideas, especially if you have two different interests or, two ideas for like what heaven on earth looks like for you in the future. And I feel aligning with the path by exploring is what needs to happen. You have the Two of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Ten of Wands. Again, Two of Pentacles is a choice. He's juggling, spinning plates. He's doing too much. I think I've said to you before, he has these waves behind him, and they start small and they get bigger. So it's like something could be getting harder for you to ignore, Cancer. That's what the waves represent to me, is like something that's on your mind, but it's like something that you keep thinking about. And, that could be the direction that you need to move in with the Two of Pentacles. Two of Pentacles also work hard, play hard. So it's important we don't burn ourselves out, especially with all this Aries energy this month and next month. I think we should be kind of making sure that we're resting, relaxing, recovering. You have the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune can represent your fortunes turning in your favor, especially in the good stuff, which is great. Can also represent your destiny. And I feel a lot of you are trying to align with like your destiny or a path that you feel is destined with the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune just wants us to pay attention to what works. Again, it's like, I really feel with the Ten of Wands that we're going to talk about in a second, that it's like one path might just be more of a burden than the other. And, I would pick the path that is not a burden, obviously. He is very close to reaching his goal, and it is coming up in the good stuff. So, a lot of you could be very close to choosing your path or like going down the right path. And you could be very close to releasing some burdens. If you are feeling distracted, again, that's the other thing. If you're trying to make a decision right now, the Ten of Wands can say either the obligations in your life are distracting you from being able to make a decision. So, if there is anything you're doing that doesn't belong to you, it might be time to get rid of those obligations so you can make a better decision. And that's what I would do with the Ten of Wands, for sure. With the Two of Pentacles, you have the Judgment card. Again, Judgment, the coffin is your old life. Outside the coffin is your new life. I feel like the other thing about this is that, a lot of this, I'm not telling you what to do. And again, only you can make the decision, Cancer. But, I feel like the right path is something you've never done before or something you haven't experienced yet. So, they're entering into a completely new world by stepping out of those coffins. And they're also like answering the call to purpose. So this might have to do with your purpose in life as well. With the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Six of Swords, which is great. You have the Six of Swords twice, which is moving on to calmer shores. So, could be heading towards improvements, or you could be creating improvements in your life. I also feel that you should be tapping into your guides. This guy in the back of the boat, he represents a guide. He guides people across the choppy waters. And so meditation, mentors, listening to people. You have that card that says get back in touch with loved ones you've been away from. So there might be family members that can help you make a decision, all that. With the Ten of Wands, you have the Ace of Wands. Ace of Wands is out with the old and with the new. So a lot of you could be, you're clearly letting go of something from the past and starting something new. Ace of Wands wants us to move towards excitement, and inspiration, things that are inspiring us, things that are exciting us and, making us feel alive, basically. And that's what I would be focused on with that Ace of Wands. You have this whale. It says, great worry over nothing. Yes, too much worry, energy in the astrology. I've been talking about this for years, that between, I started saying this back in 2023, that my concern was that by the time we got to 2033, that people would look back on the last 10 years and be like, oh my God, all I did was worry about everything and nothing happened, right? So I think we need to be very careful about like spending time worrying about things that we can't control. And, we need to be doers at this time. You have this chain. It says chain of events that will affect your life. I think you need to look at the constants in your life here, Cancer. It's like, what has been a part of your story since you were a child? It's like, did you always, when you were a child, like if you're looking for a career, it's like, were you always like playing as if you were that career already? Like, I feel like there's something constant that has always popped up, the waves behind the Two of Pentacles. it's almost like you could be making this decision a little bit too hard. And, you know, or it's like maybe you've always wanted to have a family or something like that. It's like maybe that's what you need to move towards, like whatever you were always thinking about, right? You have this Inkpot card. It says problems to be resolved. Again, we need to be careful of small problems right now. I think that, especially for you, because we had Pluto and Capricorn, that during Pluto and Capricorn, I think the little things actually did get in the way. You know, I think little problems probably really did stop us and all that. But we don't have to deal with that anymore. So just because something small pops up, it doesn't mean it's going to ruin, you know, whatever you're working on. I think you're too used to that energy of like little things ruining something, but it's not like that anymore. You have this carrot, says opportunity or windfall. I think what's interesting about this is that, you know, again, carrots are underground, right? We have this green garbage that no one wants at the top, right? We have to pull the carrot out of the ground to get the good stuff. And what I would say here is that, you know, the whole entire reading wants you to explore both sides. So it's like you have to pull the carrots up out of the ground to see which one is actually good. It's like maybe one is rotten and maybe one is good. So, you know, I think exploring it is what you need to do. You have this goldfish. It says increase in material wealth or spiritual growth. So there you go. You know, wealth definitely looks like something that you are going to be focusing on. So yes. But this looks pretty good, Cancer. I like it. So thank you for being here. Make sure to like, leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your month.